Daniel wiped the grease from his hands onto his already stained coveralls, squinting at the broken-down spacecraft that had crashed into Sector 7's junkyard 3 hours ago. The ship was a Valyrian-class cruiser, sleek, expensive, and way above his pay grade. He'd spent most of his 24 years fixing rust buckets and salvaging parts from decommissioned mining vessels, not royal transports. The woman who emerged from the ship didn't look like she belonged in a junkyard either. Melissa carried herself with the kind of posture that came from years of diplomatic training, her silver-threaded uniform still pristine despite the emergency landing. Her eyes, one cybernetic, one natural, scanned the debris field with clinical precision. "Can you repair it?" she asked, her accent marking her as someone from the inner colonies, where gravity was controlled and water wasn't rationed. Daniel scratched his jaw. "Depends on what's wrong with it. The quantum flux stabilizer has misaligned. The ship's AI calculates a 96.7% probability of catastrophic engine failure if we attempt another jump." He raised an eyebrow. "Most people wouldn't know a flux stabilizer from a fuel injector. You're not just some passenger, are you?" "Princess Melissa Thuron, third in line to the Valyrian throne," she said matter-of-factly, "and currently fleeing an assassination attempt orchestrated by my uncle's faction." Daniel nearly dropped his wrench. He'd heard about the Valyrian succession crisis on the news feeds, political upheaval, accusations of treason, entire fleets mobilizing. He just never thought it would land in his junkyard. "Right," he muttered, "let me take a look." He crawled beneath the ship, his diagnostic scanner humming as it interfaced with the cruiser's systems. The stabilizer was indeed misaligned, but that wasn't the real problem. The quantum entanglement chamber had developed a microscopic fracture, causing the exotic matter containment field to drift by 0.003 degrees, enough to throw off the entire propulsion matrix. Most mechanics would spend days recalibrating the system, running simulations, ordering replacement parts that cost more than Daniel made in a year. But he'd learned something from his years in the junkyard. Sometimes the most elegant solutions were the simplest. He pulled out a small electromagnetic inducer from his toolkit, a device typically used for realigning sensor arrays. Carefully, he positioned it against the chamber's outer housing at a precise angle, then activated it for exactly 1.7 seconds. The inducer's magnetic field caused the exotic matter inside to shift, creating a temporary pressure differential that pushed the fracture's edges back into alignment. The molecular bonding agents built into the chamber's material did the rest, fusing the microscopic crack shut. Daniel crawled out from under the ship and tossed the inducer onto his workbench. "Try it now." Melissa's cybernetic eye flickered as she interfaced with the ship's systems. Her expression shifted from skepticism to surprise. "The misalignment is corrected. Containment field integrity is at 99.8%. How did you?" "Trade secret," Daniel interrupted, wiping his hands again. "That'll be 5,000 credits." She didn't smile. "The fleet will triangulate my position within 4 hours. My uncle's ships have quantum tracking technology that can follow jump signatures across 3 parsecs. I need to reach the outer rim before they find me." "Sounds like a you problem, princess." "I'm offering you passage," Melissa said, her tone shifting from informational to insistent. "Your repair work suggests an understanding of quantum mechanics that exceeds standard certifications. Where did you study?" Daniel felt his jaw tighten. "Nowhere. I learned by doing." "Impossible. The technique you just used requires knowledge of quantum field manipulation at the subatomic level. That's not something you pick up from fixing mining ships." He turned away, organizing his tools with unnecessary focus. She was getting too close to questions he didn't want to answer. Questions about why a former theoretical physicist was working in a junkyard on a forgotten moon. Questions about the research facility that had exploded 7 years ago and who might have been responsible. I appreciate the offer, Daniel said carefully, but I'm not interested in getting involved in royal politics. Melissa stepped closer, her cybernetic eyes zooming in on his face with an audible whir. You're running from something too. I can recognize another exile when I see one. The words hit harder than he expected. For a moment, the junkyard's familiar chaos, the hum of recycling processors, the acrid smell of burnt coolant, felt suffocating. My uncle isn't just after the throne, Melissa continued. He's weaponizing quantum technology in ways that violate every interstellar treaty. He's building devices that can destabilize entire star systems. I have data proving his plans, but I need someone who understands the science to help me expose what he's doing. Daniel met her gaze. Why me? Because you just fixed a quantum flux stabilizer with an electromagnetic inducer and basic field theory. Because someone with that kind of intuitive understanding of exotic matter could help me decode the research files I've stolen. And because I think you're tired of hiding. He wanted to say no. He'd spent 7 years keeping his head down, avoiding attention, pretending to be just another mechanic. Getting involved with a fugitive princess was the opposite of safe. But she was right about one thing. He was tired of hiding. The distant sound of atmospheric engines cut through his thoughts. 3 ships appeared on the horizon, military configurations, moving with predatory intent. They found me faster than I calculated, Melissa said, already moving toward her ship. Last chance, Daniel. Stay here and hope they don't question why a junkyard mechanic can do what you just did, or come with me and put that brain to better use. He looked at his junkyard, at the mountains of discarded metal and broken dreams. Then he looked at the princess, standing at the threshold of her ship, offering him something he thought he'd lost forever: purpose. Daniel grabbed his toolkit and ran. As the cruiser's engines powered up, flooding the junkyard with blue quantum light, he strapped himself into the co-pilot's seat. Melissa's hands moved across the controls with practiced efficiency. I hope you're good under pressure, she said. I fixed your engine with a single move, Daniel replied. I think I'll manage. The ship launched skyward, leaving behind everything he'd known. Ahead lay uncertainty, danger, and a war he'd tried to forget. But for the first time in 7 years, Daniel felt alive.